Law, this is Radio 97. Do you have a question? It could be a big question about the law, it could be a little question about the law, whatever size question it is, send it to Despina, and the best way to do that is just through the website. All our contact info is there, radio97.com.au, and follow the links, radio97.com.au.
Thank you, Wayno. Alrighty, this segment, I love this segment because I haven't heard anything about this particular case, but this is a real life case that happened in Kyogle in regards to the law of trespassing. Desi, can you talk us through what happened?
I can. So when I came across this case recently, I said to myself that the law of trespass is alive and well in New South Wales. And we have a lot of New South Wales listeners. So if you're out there, I really want you to listen up because you are going to love this segment, because the person that ultimately went to court, we're going to talk about it in detail, but ultimately went to court against the state of New South Wales and won for trespass and got damages. So this is super interesting. And I know most Australians, if not all, are very protective of their property. They're very protective of, you know, this is my property. If you come on, it's trespass. So this is a real case that has been determined in favour of the owner of that property who lodged a claim for trespass.
So it could really happen to anyone. If you have a property, it could have happened to anyone. That's why I find this so interesting.
Of course, and it was recently determined 7th of February in the New South Wales Supreme Court, all right, Superior Court. So let's go through some of the facts. Okay, so the owner of this property apparently was issuing pamphlets about a future public protest. And let's put it in context. This was around August 2021. So it was during COVID. And remember, New South Wales was in longer periods of lockdown in Queensland. So it was in August 2021. And the local police station got wind of this, found out that apparently the owner was organising some form of public protest. And they were concerned that it was breaching, you know, one of those or the many COVID orders that were issued during 2021. And there was a public health order called Additional Restrictions for the Delta Outbreak that was issued in 2021. They were concerned that the owner was in breach of that particular order. So they couldn't get the owner on the phone. They then went and visited the property. Now, this is where it gets interesting. You really need to listen up. So they went to the property. Now, the property at the front there, and it's a rural property. So let's put it in perspective again, rural property. So there was a gate with a padlock at the front, locked. So locked gate. Then on the outside of that gate, there was a sign that said, and I'll read it out, private property trespass notice. Trespass applies without prior consent or prior invitation. Admittance to this property is strictly by invitation or appointment only, or trespass applies. Admittance to this property is consent to this notice, and penalties will apply. Okay, so that was
the gate. Being told, yep.
being told. So gate locked, and so the gate locked itself is also a sign. Gate locked, can't get in, and there's a sign. Further inside, about 3 meters inside the property, there was another sign. And this one is this one's the doozy sign. So it says legal notice, no trespassing, admittance by invitation only, exclusion notice, private property to all men, women, persons and entities, including, here we go, police, government, sheriff, bailiff, process server, council, RSPCA, private investigators, corporations. Trespass damage shall apply upon one step onto land property, minimum penalty 10,000 Australian dollars.
Ouch.
I love it.
Can they do that? Can they say,
well, it's your property,
$10,000?
There's no law to say that you cannot put up these signs inside your property. You're not on council land. You're not on government roads, right? So this is your property. So what happened? The police couldn't get a hold of the owner by phone. So they then went to the property. And what did the two policemen do, who of course will never be named? What they did is that they obviously saw the gate was locked. Yes, they admitted they read the signs because it went to court, but they jumped the fence. Oh, okay. So they jumped the fence despite the gate lock, despite the first sign, despite the second sign. Oh, they were very determined to talk to this owner. So they jumped the fence, walked all the way up the path to the front door, knocked on the door. Now, the owner wasn't home, but she had children there at that time. Now, one of them came out and the policeman approached them and basically was saying, we want to find the owner. We want to talk to the owner about this public protest. Where is she? And they said, well, she's not here. And so there was a bit of a evidence given in the court that the person that the daughter, I think it was, felt a bit intimidated by this behavior of the police officers and said, look, she's not here and we don't know when she's be coming back. And the police officers said to the person, well, we'll be back. We'll be back to investigate because we want to talk to the owner. So therefore, a little bit of a threat, a little bit of intimidation. Now, of course, they jumped back over the fence again so they could drive back to the police station. Now, when the owner came home, she obviously discovered what had happened, lodged complaints with the police, various police stations actually throughout New South Wales. She was trying to get information about who, what, when, how, exact people's names, times, etc. Then she lodged a claim in the Supreme Court for trespass and damages. And she won.
Mm.
So
did she get her $10,000?
She got more than that. She got
What'd
more
she
than
get?
that. She got 17,500 plus interest. So ultimately, I think the total sum worked out to be something like $18,500, pretty much close to that figure. So it's a very interesting case, and the damages awarded were aggravated and exemplary damages by the court. And the court recognised, and there was an admittance by the policeman and the state of New South Wales, because they were the defendant, not the police officers personally, that yes, they trespassed the land. They did. In their supposed defence, what came out, and I've read the case, is that the police officers thought, in their infinite wisdom, that they had a common law right to enter someone's property regardless of the signs, regardless of the gate being locked, because they were investigating, as they said, an unlawful act which actually didn't happen. They were making inquiries about a future public protest.
It didn't even take place. Or
hadn't even take place at that time. So they thought that they were entitled, right, to go and do that. Now, there was no warrant. Okay, so we're not dealing with a warrant situation. They just thought that they were allowed at common law to do that, and they were very much mistaken. And I'm very pleased to see these damages awarded, because the damages here, the exemplary damages, is particularly awarded in situations where the wrongdoer and their conduct needs to be deterred, right, in the future. And that's what the court says. And that's why the exemplary damages were awarded, because there was conduct undertaken by two police officers that was wrong. And we want to deter that in the future because they did trespass the land. So there was exemplary damages awarded. There was also aggravated damages awarded for the hurt and the intimidation part that was felt. Now, the interesting part here is that some people might say, well, why wasn't there more damages awarded? You might ask the question. The interesting part is that because the owner of that property was not home at the time that they came up and trespassed on the land, they could only award that amount of damages because the owner of the property has exclusive possession of that property, not anyone else that doesn't own the land that might be living there, like children, example, or other family members. So because of that particular right under the law, they couldn't award higher damages because that person who owned the land had to be exclusive possession of the land, which they did have, but they were not present. So they could not say that, oh, I felt hurt or humiliation or intimidation. They weren't there at the time. Had they been there, though, could have been a lot higher in the award of the damages.
Interesting.
So interesting. I'm sure now we will see a bunch of no trespassing signs across the Tweed and Gold Coast. Thank you to Despina. And
the other interesting part, I will say quickly, is that the court did say that, look, had there been no gate, or the gate was open, wasn't locked, and had there been no signs, there is this implied consent that you give at law, that you allow people to come onto your property. It's a license. It's implied license and consent, or it's a implied consent for a license to enter, I should say, without gate locked, no signs. So you want to take that away. And if you don't want this to happen to you, then maybe you should consider putting up similar signs on your property.
Locks, and be careful. Otherwise, open to people to just.
And I think and a lesson to the to New South Wales Police or any other sort of officials like bailiffs or other people where, unless there's a warrant, of course, or even process servers, that perhaps you can't actually just jump that fence.
Yep.
Yes.
The sign says it all.
Yes.
Literally. Thank you so much, Despina. If anyone does want to ask you a question directly about the law and hear it right here on the Brecky Show, where can they go?
So they can phone the office 55291294, or they can email info@prialalegal.com.au.
Thank you, Despina and Wayne.
We'll see you next week.
See you there.
Are you confused about legal jargon? Do you need legal advice but don't know where to turn? Tune in to Talking Law with Despina Priala every Thursday morning at 8:30 on Radio 97. Despina, a leading lawyer with over 20 years of experience, will demystify the law and provide practical advice to help you navigate legal issues. Whether it's a family matter, a property dispute, or a business concern, Talking Law has got you covered. Don't miss out on this valuable resource. Tune in to Talking Law with Despina Priala every Thursday morning at 8:30 on Radio 97.